Good morning, it's Monday. We're starting our Bill of Rights presentations today. We're going to get through our first three amendments today, and then tomorrow we'll probably do the next three, and then Wednesday we'll round out by doing our last four. So, here's the format, kind of like we would do in class. I'm going to have people either share theirs out or read the ones that were made, because some people forgot to put up audio, but anyways, it's okay. I'm going to share out what some people found, specifically their court cases, and then I'm going to share my presentation. So have your notebook ready so you can get some notes from mine about what each different amendment means. First, we're going to start with Anne-Marie, who has First Amendment, which is the freedom of expression. So let me get to her, and I will cut myself off and let you listen. Here we go.
The First Amendment, Freedom of Expression, by Anne-Marie. Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof or abridging the freedom of speech or the press or the right of the people peaceably to assemble and to petition the government for redress of grievances. The First Amendment's rights: religious freedom, freedom to express, the right to have assemblies, and the right to petition. A Supreme Court case is Tinker versus Des Moines Independent Community School District in 1969. 3 public school students wore black armbands to school to protest the Vietnam War, and they were suspended from school for refusing to remove them. That's all.
All right, nice job, Anne-Marie. And next is Henry, who also had freedom of expression. So his said similar thing. So Congress shall not make a law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof, or abridging the freedom of speech, or of the press, or of the right of the people peacefully to assemble and to petition the government for a redress of grievances. In the country, we have the right to peacefully assemble and petition. And I guess this was this court case. Yes, the students who wore black armbands, same as Anne-Marie, who were trying to protest against the Vietnam War, were suspended for taking them off. So it actually went all the way to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court argued that students do not shed their constitutional rights at a schoolhouse gate. So they had the right to peacefully protest something like that by wearing armbands to a public school. So it makes sense. All right. So here are my notes. So in your notebook, or you can try and type them, but it might be easier in just your notebook. Just as you write down each, here's a really good suggestion. You write, say, the First Amendment, put a line, and then list what it gave, like the rights it gives particularly. And really, this is not a bad idea. Add some pictures to help you kind of remember. So here we go. Our First Amendment guarantees the freedoms of religion, speech, the press, assembly, and petition. So the rights it is protecting are all of those. So freedom of religion, you can practice any religion you want to practice. You cannot have a religion if you choose not to. Both of those rights are protected. Speech, like I was saying last week, you have a freedom to kind of say anything you want. However, certain things you do say, you are responsible for. So if you are threatening someone, for example, you can be arrested for that. So you do have the right to say it, but if you're threatening to hurt someone, you could be arrested. The right to assemble is just a right to protest peacefully, and a petition is to ask the government to do something. So here's the same things I was just saying. Yeah, a quick breakdown of what I just said. Go ahead and pause it right here if you need to write these down, because I said these and I forgot that they're all right here too. So go ahead and pause it here if you need to just jot them down, and then otherwise I'm going to continue. And then here's the representation of the freedom of speech. People on the bottom are protesting peacefully. Symbols for religions. You have freedom of religion. which takes us to our Second Amendment, which was Luke and Katie. And Luke said, the Second Amendment is the right to bear arms. And it says, the Second Amendment, right to bear arms of the United States Constitution says, a well-regulated militia, which is necessary to the security of a free state, a right of the people to keep and bear arms, which shall not be infringed. Such language can create a considerable debate regarding the amendment's intended scope. Okay. And then Katie said, the right to bear arms means you can carry a gun or have a weapon. I can carry a gun around anywhere I am allowed and not get arrested. This amendment gives me the right to carry a weapon. In the court case is in 1875, there was a court case post to the Civil War about the right to bear arms. Post to the Civil War. This court case concluded that the federal government could not file charges against citizens in federal court for constitutional rights. Okay, so our Second Amendment is one that's really big at the moment and a lot of discussion. But the Second Amendment protects citizens' rights to bear arms, to have firearms. So it basically simply means you have the right to own a gun. Whoop. So yeah, it's just the right to own a gun, really. Today, people are kind of arguing the Founding Fathers had no idea about the complexity firearms would reach, so that amendments could be made or laws could be made saying restricting certain types of gun ownership. So that's part of the debate. But a lot of people who are pretty proud Second Amendment people argue that the citizens should have the right to have the same type of firearms as our military in the case that our government were to ever become tyrannical, to be like a dictatorship, to try and oppress the people. We should be able to fight back. Which takes us to our Third Amendment, which was Sophie and Liz. I'm gonna have Sophie share hers out. So here comes Sophie, and I'm gonna mute myself. Oh, there's Sophie. Okay, here we go. Mute myself now.
The Third Amendment, The Quartering of Troops by Sophie Torbeck. The Third Amendment. No soldier shall in time of peace be quarantined in any house without the consent of the owner, nor in time of war but in a manner to be prescribed by law. This means that if someone likes their privacy, they don't have to take in a soldier if they don't want to. In 1882, the court questioned if New York violated this amendment by housing National Guard members at 2 correctional officers' residences.
Alright, nice job, Sophie. And Liz is our last one about quartering troops. And she says, the Third Amendment of the United States places restrictions on the quartering of soldiers in private homes without the owner's consent, forbidding the practice in peacetime. Basically, it means that soldiers are not allowed to stay in anyone's house, and the owners aren't allowed to say no, and they get to stay in there like it's their home. And it protects Amendment 3, no soldier shall in the time of peace be quartered in any house without the consent of the owner, nor in times of war, but in the manner prescribed by law. If the owner says no, they're not allowed to enter. And there was a court case called Engblom versus Carey. And Engblom versus Carey, I believe, was a court case with prisoners or prison guards who were basically, yeah, I believe that's what that was. So basically it was up in the Northeast. Prison guards are being housed from, New York State Corrections when they were on strike. Some of their duties were performed by National Guard who were activated. And striking employees were evicted from their employee housing, which was then used to house the National Guard. So basically, their court case said even though they were on strike, their houses that they lived in for their job, their company did not have the right to put U.S. soldiers into their private housing. So yeah, it still surprisingly applies, right? So our Third Amendment It's quite simply just looking at that. So, no soldier shall in time of peace be quarantined in any house without the consent of the owner, nor in time of war, but in a manner to be prescribed by law. You can simplify that. Essentially, you can just say no soldiers can be housed in our homes and without our consent. So, that is the key. I think most likely, if there was chaos and war here in the United States, most Americans would allow soldiers to stay at their house, but soldiers cannot force you out of your own house and tell you have to leave. This is theirs now. You technically have the right to tell them no. So, and there you go. So yeah, it means we cannot be forced to quarter or house soldiers, especially soldiers from like a military base. They don't stay at our homes unless your mom or dad is a soldier, then they may stay at your house, but that's different. They live there. So, okay, that is where we're going to stop for today because of our time. It's probably getting pretty late. I'm going to put a CNN 10 up with this. If you need a brain break before or after this, please take it. And I will catch you tomorrow. Have a great day. Bye.